Okay, it's 4:31. We got 29 minutes, so I gotta leave. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
When are they supposed to start
I'm
this?
just trying to bring up the agenda. It's like,
Oh, okay.
as fast as my computer can do it. So I'm gonna say, the public hearing is, we're open for comments on the, changes to be made to the zoning. And I've got the version here. We've got, two individuals here. Do you have any comments to make about the,
Well, I could
It's
spend a
zoning
couple hours
changes.
reading it.
you should have
I-
already read it. It's already been out for over, you guys approved it the last meeting. It's the same thing you got. This is just the meeting. This is
Oh.
the public hearing that you guys approved.
To formally
last-
Oh,
accept.
okay.
Right.
Okay,
So then people have had a month to look it over.
okay.
Here's the
I didn't know if
hearing
there
to
was,
discuss it.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess my thing would be is I would remove some of those things that say you can't do desktop publishing at your home. But if we're gonna make changes,
so but those are not changed. Those are on, the home occupations are in our action items on the agenda.
yeah.
But that's not gonna be.
Yeah, as I
covered
say,
in
if you're gonna do this,
Kinda work
These
in one.
changes are
do it all at
limited.
once and get it done.
These are primarily the swimming pool changes that adds it as an accessory use. It also requires fences only for above or in-ground pools,
Right.
and unless you had a cover,
And change the setback.
and change the setback. And then there were a couple other minor things, but
Yeah.
so
So what
Getting
do we need to
closer.
do?
I would say if there are no comments, or then we can
Move on.
we can.
Make a motion
Well-
to accept.
Well, we could just,
To
I think, just say that we met, or the public hearing was held at 4:30 p.m. There were no comments
Or
or
objections.
objections, and so,
Are you taking notes?
well,
Are you doing it? Okay.
I'm gonna do it as soon as I can.
Yeah.
I need
okay.
I didn't print it off because I'd rather print it on the town's paper. I mean,
It's a town meeting. Why not?
Is this supposed to be the public hearing right now?
this is the public hearing, I'd say is,
It's complete.
well, we could, if you want to vote on it to conclude
Do we need to vote?
We've already
We've
agreed
already
to
all accepted
everything in
that.
there.
We're already.
Yeah.
We just don't have anybody disagreeing with it and not coming.
Okay,
So whatever we have to do.
then,
Probably nothing.
we're going to, is Bill coming? Has anybody talked
No,
to
Bill is in Cleveland.
Bill's in
What?
Cleveland.
Bill's in Cleveland.
All right, who all would like a copy of the agenda?
I have
I
mine.
would.
I think I
I
have
went
it
to
on.
print it last night and
I
I
have
couldn't
it on
get
my
it.
phone.
I'm gonna print it so I can make notes, and that way I
I
can.
like to leave notes on it.
Yeah, I'll take a copy and show Bill.
Okay, yeah, he's got
He got one in his email.
he should have the email, but if you wanna give him a hard copy, I'll run him off. So,
It's the town paper.
one for me,
On paper. You can't read anyway.
then. So, well, okay, then,
Might as well start the
would
meeting.
you like to start the meeting with the pledge of allegiance? Lead us out there, Ken.
Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's the second time we said it today.
There you go. Roll call.
So, the first thing I had was, we need to read and approve the minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody get the email with the minutes, or would you like to kind of,
I
me to
got
print
it
it?
right here.
I'm good.
You good? Okay, so this was, so do we have any
I
comments, or,
I didn't see anything in there that was.
so do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the September 15th meeting?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes for the September 15th meeting, say aye.
Hi.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, passed. So, then an update on the Family Dollar. They did contact me. I forwarded that to you, I believe. We're still waiting on plans. They need to get their state approved plans and they'll
Well, yeah.
start. But it's basically, as far as we're concerned, it's
From a zoning standpoint, everything that they've got in place now
When are
is
they,
fine.
when are they gonna start, do you know?
yeah, I think there's some people that are ready for them to go because the one company that emailed me had to do with the interiors. You know how they laid out all the shelving and everything like that. So there's things that are in the work,
It's in the works.
but I really have no idea as far as what the.
Has the property been sold? Because I haven't.
That's what I was gonna ask. I don't know if
I've never
I don't
seen
know if
it
the
come
deed
across the
ever cleared.
auditor's
Right.
information on.
So maybe that's a
Transfer.
hang up. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe somebody's holding out for more money. I
They
don't
took
know.
out, 2 of the driveways.
Yeah, they
Yes.
replaced them with landscaping, yes.
Yeah.
And they're gonna put a curb in so that it's a contiguous curb.
Okay, so that's just an update. Old business as far as.
Gabe, do we
Um,
need to do anything formal to formally approve their plans?
We made that, if I made a note in the
We approved them with
minutes
the
that it was
exception. I
contingent
didn't-
upon
okay.
the
Yeah.
removal of those two.
I didn't know if we needed to approve the,
I think,
Second half.
I think we covered that.
This one's just an update telling us where they're at on it, right?
You're right.
Okay.
There's no, so then, as far as old business, we had no comments from the public hearing, so that was good. And then, so I did get an email from Tim Copsey, or maybe it was a text message. He is planning to come. He would like to update us on what's going on the south side of town in that area,
oh,
as
with
far
that
as with the CNC.
CIC, yeah.
CIC. Let's see here. Gabe, I plan to stop at the zoning meeting tomorrow to discuss the 2449 project. I have a meeting at 3:30 at my office and will be right there after, but I may not be at your meeting right at 4:30. We'll be there as soon as possible.
Okay.
So, then,
But his comments had nothing to do with item number 3 on our list, right? I'm just trying to go through
No,
and keep up,
yeah.
okay.
so I think it kind of has to do with thoroughfare plan, and I put some chicken scratches on an old map I had that I could show you some ideas I had. Obviously, it's nothing. It's just some ideas.
Mhm.
But I was hoping we'd have a bigger map to look at, and I mean, the one big thing is definitely semi-traffic to the industrial park, and
Well, we even have a tough time getting semi-traffic on River Street. Because when they took the old 24 out and turned it into River Street, they redid the curbing on the intersection there, and you can't get a semi around the corner.
I think, so, you know, when I first started thinking about this, I thought, you know, we just got to make that work. Well, and then I thought about, Buffalo Street and Michelle, and I talked about it, and, maybe a lot of people don't want all that traffic by the school. And so there's some of that. So this is actually kind of an evolution. It's not, but we can look at what I did just for, it's nothing other than some ideas. They might all, none of them be any good. But one thing, here's where I thought about, if you just ran 49 right through and then tied it in over here at, had some kind of you could do a two-way,
Boulevards.
right, run traffic one direction, one way on Cleveland Street and the other way on Main Street, and have some kind of, you wouldn't have to do a traffic circle, but you could do a traffic circle. And this is where the colony drive is already proposed to come through. And I think if you look, there's a house here, but there's a big fenced in yard and maybe a house trailer, nothing really significant here that you could somehow maybe tie in from the backside of those houses on
So where,
South Erie.
Where's the gas station at?
It's clear down here.
Down there,
Right.
okay.
So then this is Bill.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so but then really what we need to do is we need to get ahead of the game over here. We need to think about ways to tie in over here, get back to, this is actually it's just a mud road, but it's a platted road. I don't know, some other thing, but then down here this is already a section of street that's been proposed on by the Dollar General. They've offered some right of way there. There's some kind of
The church owns that.
it's the church that there's a, what do you call that, where they gave us a
5-year, whatever.
option.
Yes.
There's an option right here. That's just a small piece. But if you took that option and we followed it along this property line and kind of came across, there is a pond out in this field that's an issue. This is where we just changed all this zoning here. And I think this is what Tim's going to talk to us about. I'm really concerned, like somehow we can't get over, if we cut across here, this is about where the ponds are. This is about where the recycling's at, and this is the drive, and over here is like the water treatment plant. If you came across and maybe came out on, this is Cement Plant Road here, maybe you could bring it in, you could have an entrance right there at the end of the industrial park where folks could get in. And this is a smaller kind of set up for more, well, maybe is that where Fritz is at already?
Probably.
Right here? Because right here's where, this is Grant's, that's the storage, so this is, right
Here's
here's,
chassis is number 8 and number 6 is Fritz.
so, yeah, so, I don't know, or you could make, it's just some lines on a piece of paper, but it's some ideas that, we need to start talking about, or we're going to hem ourselves in every which way for Tuesday, and then there won't be an easy way to develop some of these spots. But if you're looking at, a street here, just because that's where your access on, I mean, we've got open field. If we could just plan it, whether or not
This would dump into Wentworth.
well, Wentworth is right
This
here.
one,
Wentworth, yeah.
Right here's Reinhardt's house. So that would just be, but that could allow you to put some more residential here. You could put some more business out here. You could, it would be, it would just be, but that could allow you to put some more residential here. You could put some more business out here. You could, it would be, 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 it wo open it. It would open up that area as far as,
And this would tie into 21 on the end out there.
yeah, you could come out. Well, and then there's I don't know if you want to try and aim it for that trestle road that's there by George's house or something like that to keep things.
That's 21, isn't it?
21's the next road over here,
The
yeah.
Trestle Road's the dirt lane that's off of
Yeah.
21.
Right.
It goes from
Okay.
21 to 11.
Perpendicular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They got the railroad track in there to descend with.
And that's all within the rights of this planning commission to do this type of planning, and this has never been done. No one's ever, to my knowledge, done anything with a thoroughfare plan, and it's, in my opinion, way overdue.
I actually like this a lot better than what you originally talked
This
about.
over here doing something
Yeah.
with
I don't think
Buffalo.
this would be a good idea at all.
Yeah,
You're gonna be dealing with a lot of issues through the school
there's
and
wells.
then all of everybody else through here.
Yeah, I'm not sure that having this road cross right after the crossing for the exit ramp is, you know what I mean? These two would be abruptly next to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Something to think.
But I mean, yeah, in general, to add some auxiliary, you know,
and then
Yeah.
there is, there is an option. You got an overpass here. You could maybe come up this direction from Harmon Road, and then, but that would be a pretty expensive undertaking too. And then out here on this end,
right?
which is off the map, but right about here is,
This is the one I was thinking. I know it's gonna be expensive and I know you gotta go through a lot of state stuff, but I mean, it just takes them right up in there.
right. But if it were coming off this way, they could come in
Yeah.
right this
Mhm.
direction.
I think, yeah. I think
This
that-
one back here.
And you've already got some residential. I'd be interested to see what Tim's talking over here.
Yeah, I would bet the state would be more interested in having an exit down at that
Down
next
there.
one.
And there are some residences on
There's
that.
already kind of a clover coming off of that one already.
Well,
Is that Road
It
50?
just
51
doesn't-
kind of
yeah.
comes up, on both
It
sides.
kind
So
of comes up on both sides. It doesn't
the
necessarily
51's
have,
really not a thoroughfare,
no.
Could it become, so you're thinking 51 to take to the industrial park?
Mhm.
No,
Well, 51 is about, there's an intersection
There's something there.
at that
51 will get
overpass.
blown away when you put in exit ramps.
But 51 though, does that go clear through? Does that cross the railroad?
Doesn't cross the highway.
It does cross the railroad.
It goes over.
So you could get over to 424.
Yes.
That could bring in trucks to
Yep.
Paragon,
Mhm.
and
Obviously, the
To your
road would have to be
place.
rebuilt.
That ties clear
Yeah, oh, yeah,
over
it's a-
to 111
it couldn't
too.
stand
51
semi-traffic.
goes in front of my mom and dad's and
okay. So that could down the road be a pretty important major thoroughfare. Which that might make more sense to the state too. So
It's storm on the other side of the road.
Mhm. But it is there.
Yeah.
we don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
options on this stuff to have a plan. I think that's what some people have said, well, you can't do anything. Well, I mean,
You can't do anything without a plan.
that's right. I would still like to get a bigger map so we can, and I'd also like to get that screen so we can put it up on the wall and everybody can look at it and,
I brought it up.
Did you put in a requisition for it?
That wasn't brought, that was 2 months ago, wasn't it?
It-
wasn't
it-
brought up in the last meeting.
Well, this last one, no, but the one before, that was right after this
Right.
previous meeting, it was brought up, and Brian had said he was going to investigate and try to put it in next year's budget, I believe.
oh, that'd be pretty quick.
Yeah, everybody was on board with it. Somebody,
I think so. Like right there, right up there.
You're talking what, about $1,000?
Got a power line? Yeah, right there.
we ran a power line.
Good deal. Well, hopefully have a bigger map for us to look at next time, and it's good that we're thinking about it and talking about it.
Okay, just thinking in broad strokes about some of these big picture items, you know, as I look at the boundaries of the village limits, it's this really wonky thing, right? But now, I think because we have the new highway, you know, we have a new boundary definition just kind of inherent within that highway. And there's been a lot of development, I think, since the last time the village limits were, you know, evaluated. So at some point, it seems appropriate that we should look at where should the village limits be? And what is the process of creating an annexation plan to redefine the boundary limits of this village?
Yeah.
You know, especially when a lot of
I'm
these,
not sure.
You've been
a lot of
doing it
these,
longer than any of
a lot
us,
of these
so-
boundaries, a lot of these boundaries go willy nilly in the middle of farm fields. It's like, well, this makes no sense.
I don't think anything's been annexed since the industrial park, and that's been,
Well, but I'm just, you know, as we
Quarter
think
century.
about, you know, this larger scale, long range stuff, it just seems appropriate that the boundaries of the village should come into play to that conversation. I mean, if we want to start looking at long range, adding more developments and more industrial
That will bring
parks
in
and
more
things of that
tax money,
nature,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So,
That brings up a question, if I can. The boundary on 176 going east, is the frame shop and Fritz's, is that?
that is in the village.
Okay,
The
because.
village
sign-
limits goes out to the end of those industrial properties, north up onto whatever is it,
Canal.
80?
Okay,
Canal.
the sign is right there by the intersection, and I thought, surely that's not the boundary line
Yeah.
for the.
But the houses on the east side of Harmon are not.
and neither are the ones on the south side of Victory Lane.
Correct.
So yeah, like you said, it's kind of
Yeah,
willy-nilly
and
all
you got
over
the
the
same
place.
thing on the other side on Harmon, you know, north of River Street. So
We keep raising the water rates.
yeah, and there's wonky boundary limits over on your end of town too.
There is.
Over on that Wentworth side, yeah, if we looked at the map, it's just kind of wonky.
Well,
Well,
yeah, I know what you're talking about, down on.
Yeah, because there's
yeah,
part of a farm field in between some of your homes, and I think that
yeah.
village
I know
limit
the
follows
story- I
that
know the
field
story
until
behind
such
that.
time somebody decides to sell that little piece of property. You know what I mean? It's like, guys,
Yeah, I know.
let's make this
I
a
know what
big
you're talking
box.
about. Yeah.
So,
the
you know,
people that came in on Tuesday that were wanting a fence variance had never even been to Antwerp. They were working in Fort Wayne. They were looking for a nice place to live. They found a house that they liked in the new addition. And they put an offer in on it, and they got it. He's from Cleveland, or no, he's from Chicago. She's from Detroit. They work in Fort Wayne. Jan met him. I mean, that's the type of people I think, and then you think about Octaviano's. They came in, he's a pilot, you know, and they just decided Antwerp was a good place for them strategically, and it's a nice town. If we set it up for the right type of development, I think we could really have a wonderful, I mean, I think we already have a wonderful town, and I think we could grow it and keep it wonderful.
Right.
Okay, so enough said on thoroughfare plan.
Jan, just a quick question, just to drag you into the fire.
Yeah,
In all of your years of being involved in local politics, have you been
Yes.
involved in any of the annexation activities and how that process works? Okay, we just started a casual conversation about redefining the city
What we
boundaries.
have to do to annex. if you
okay,
want to.
okay. Am I late for the meeting?
No, you're fine, you're fine.
Was it 4:30?
Yeah.
No, the
Was
public
it?
hearing was
I-
at 4:30.
Well, I came as
You're
soon as I
early,
could.
but we didn't know.
You're
when
fine.
I've been at Parkview all day with John having tests, and
Well, I hope you got good results.
well, we haven't got them yet, so we'll see. Are we expecting a lot of people? I have to have them sign in and stuff?
No. this
All we
is
got, we're,
Okay, great,
so we started the zoning part, but
okay.
it was a floating time. I think we actually started about 10 after,
Probably, so
or
20 after,
20 till.
or 22, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. And, so then we had talked about temporary buildings and I think we had a good discussion the last meeting. And my thought on this is, like, if we could have, like, there's no definition between, you know, what should be like a temporary building or just something that you put up to store a few things in versus something that's a little more significant that's going to be there for a long time. And
Well, but let's not get the nomenclature mixed up.
Okay.
So it's my understanding, the way that I read the definitions, a temporary building is really referred to like one of these pods that you put in the driveway for construction phases.
right,
I mean, it has
Right.
a fair amount of discussion about construction, right? These are
right,
meant to be
right.
construction offices, construction sheds, and that whole temporary thing revolves around that mindset. A temporary building is allowed kind of across the board.
But it's very
But
limited.
it's not, it has a time limit.
Right,
And so that has a time limit and kind of an expressed and implied purpose.
mhm,
So we don't want to start crossing lines in our activities and thinking about those in the world of sheds and accessory buildings.
right,
So in the world of zoning, sheds really aren't called sheds either, they're called accessory buildings. So,
right,
you know, we want to make sure that we don't start getting our wires crossed on what it is we're trying to wrangle in.
yes.
So are we wanting to start a discussion on temporary buildings or accessory buildings?
So it would be accessory buildings.
Okay,
Then I think that there is a type of accessory building that, you know, maybe it's a more or less, you could get $150 metal box that you put together, you picked it up at Menards, and that's a place to put your push mower, keep it out of the weather, and maybe some gardening tools, and it doesn't need a foundation. It'd be ridiculous to put a foundation in it.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah, but at some point, if you're getting a significant structure that's gonna be there that has more than, you know, a 25-year life expectancy, and it's got, you know, a pretty good sized footprint, that we should think about, could there be a cutoff when, okay, these, if it's under, I like to think of like a 8 by 12, you know, that's,
But you know
or
what?
is a 96 square, would be 96 square feet, that's a small enough building, but then, or you could say, at some point, then there needs to be some kind of a line between what would justify.
I think if it's built on a skid, it's temporary.
well, but we're not using that word temporary.
Yeah, we don't want
Right, so we gotta avoid that.
accessory building.
Right.
When does an accessory building require
So-
a foundation?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
That's what I want to, because there's some small ones that don't, and there's some big ones that probably should, you know, that you get so big,
I
so
know that
heavy.
world is dynamic, right? So I'm having a little bit of a tough time putting a number on that in my mind's eye. Just, you know, I had some exposure to those guys building sheds in my building. And every time you turn around, they're making a bigger shed that is, you know,
You
this
can live in it.
portable building,
It's a cabin.
right?
It's
They're going 16 by 48.
48.
16 by 48.
Yeah.
You know, so
You
it's
put
like,
it on skids.
and it's a portable wooden structure. So
48.
how do we create a definition that is elastic in the world of
So that
transport and manufacturing capability?
Right. And I think you can do it by square foot. If you say, like, buildings under this size, you can build it on a skid. If it's larger than that, it requires a foundation. And it's still an accessory building. If you live in it, it's not an accessory building anymore. then it's
Well.
residential, then
So
it.
what are people?
So
doing?
what is a Morton building? Right?
Pole
That's not a
building,
foundation.
It doesn't, well, so it,
Right? So I mean, here we go. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
so
not sure
then
what problem
you-
we're trying to solve. It just seems like we might be creating problems.
well,
Have you ran into difficulties in the world of accessory buildings? I guess in the zoning world. Have we had difficulties administering in accessory buildings in this?
well, I mean, just the one in Mommy Landing that was.
But that was a
before
placement
lease,
issue.
That was an
That was a
accessory
placement
building,
issue.
right? So it had a permanent foundation. If it hadn't, it would have been less of a problem. So. And it
It's
might
gonna
have
We're
argue
gonna
been,
take a
against
skid
you.
steer and shove it over.
We could just take a tractor and pull it
Mhm.
yeah.
5 foot.
So I guess
Morton buildings.
I'd like to see
Foundation.
people get a
Right.
permit for accessory buildings, whether they have a foundation or not.
I don't agree with the idea of getting a permit and making sure that the setbacks and all that stuff are managed, but when we start driving in a requirement for a foundation or something boxed in around square footage, I think we're in a slippery slope again, because like I say, a Morton building is very permanent and very predominant as an accessory building.
People would get us,
And there may be people in the village that have enough room to accommodate one of these and prefer to put one of those up.
oh, they've been put up.
And so, doesn't have a foundation.
But parts of it extend 3 feet into the ground, which is part of the
Foundation.
permanent foundation definition.
It's a thin line.
Okay, so we can
Table.
I mean,
table that, all right.
is there anything dangling in that world of accessory use buildings that we want to try and
So I got
frame
some
up
other
better?
stuff that's more important.
Okay,
So Graffs want a building, this is what they gave me on their sign, they want to build it 5 feet by, what's it say? 5 by 6 feet, 5 foot by 6 feet high, 5 feet from building, 20 feet to property line, 16 feet from the road. I might have to check on that.
Who's this?
Grass, 16 feet from the road might be too close.
Who is it?
Grass, Maryland Graft, and they're doing something out at 410 East River Street. And let's see, when did they submitted this earlier this month on the 7th, and they've been asking for I've been asking for some details. That's what they got me.
so what's the length of this sign?
Is it 20?
No, it's 20 feet to the property line.
Oh, yeah. From the road. Yeah, how long is that?
It's her shop
Oh, yeah.
up there where Bragg's doctor's office used to be.
Maryland Draft, yep. So,
So is this sign intended to be parallel to the road, single faced?
so I think if she puts it that close to the road, that might be in the, I'm gonna have to check the,
Yeah. how
oh,
far-
I'm gonna check the setbacks.
Right.
That might be something else. But as far as you guys are concerned, she had this on,
Do you know anything about it?
as far as here's what the permit asks for. A sign must provide information on size, height, material, and design. So I don't know if this is the design that they're going for. I mean, this is what I got. Oh, here on the back. Ties and bows, 6 feet high, 5 foot wide on 2 posts. So it'd have something like ties and bows on that top. She wants 2 posts with 2 boards and on the top it'd say, I guess, ties and bows on it, roughly on both sides, and then I don't know, maybe crafts and more, I don't know, something like that.
This out at Bragg's office?
Yes. But I'm looking at it,
What's the zoning right there?
we changed that to B2.
So that setback doesn't apply.
She would
She could be
need, but
closer.
I need to make sure she doesn't put it in the right of way, because her property line, I bet, you know, if you were, let's say the front of your building is right on the property line, and you're like, well, there's plenty of room here, the sidewalk, I'll just put it, people can walk underneath. You know, I just put up a couple well, that's in the right of way, you can't do that. So I might have to work with her on that, but if I could at least get you guys as okay with this on a couple boards, then I could go move forward with and talk to her about her setback.
And how big's that sign gonna be?
5 foot wide, 6 feet high, and on 2 posts.
I'm gonna guess that she's
That's a
counting
pretty
the
big sign.
post to the ground as the 6 foot.
Yes.
Because otherwise it wouldn't look that way, it would look this way.
5 feet high and 6 foot wide, or 6 foot?
So I
6 foot high, 5 feet wide.
Wow. That's a big sign.
Yeah, but I bet it's gonna be off the ground.
I think that's
Some-
to
a
the
fair
top of the, I'm
distance.
gonna guess it's top of the post.
Yeah.
Oh, he's late.
There it is.
She had talked to me about it a little bit, but I told her she had to fill it out and send it to you guys. So I would assume that I
Said
haven't
her
worked on.
hubby's gonna make it.
What's that?
Her husband's gonna build it, I think.
It doesn't. That would be fine too.
So, and there are some rules, and like I'll have to double check on the height. I mean, this is the first I saw it as far as I walked in, it was in my box finally. So, I have not had any opportunity to look at it any more than you have. And so,
Hopefully they go through all the oops stuff if she's installing it herself. And I don't think Antwerp responds to the oops request. But that's why we do need to get our underground water maps done for that reason.
okay. Well, you have to talk to Brian about that, but I think he's
So
working on maps
what's
as
she
far as I
gonna be
know.
selling?
I've only had to call once. And they
Crafts
came out
and more.
And they marked my water line. Curtis came out.
Oh yeah?
It's been several years ago.
So that would be,
I can't call on that. I have to file contractor tickets. So I don't know if that's a difference at all.
I don't feel like we have enough information to approve that just yet.
okay.
Do we?
Well, I guess what more information do you need?
You know,
Because you'll have to give that to her if you don't feel like you have enough.
Right, I think that's one of the things she was asking for was some guidance on like, how big can we make it?
Well,
And I said, well, tell us what you're proposing.
Yeah.
and that's the problem with not having any sign book or sign paper.
Right.
Because the only thing in here for signs says you have to submit a
Give
sign.
it a shot and we'll let you know what we
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I mean, and really it shouldn't
So-
be that way. You guys shouldn't have to sit here and think about
But
whether
if
this
she
is
had
cool or
given me
not.
this information earlier, I could have at least said, well, 16 feet from the road, I could go over there and say, well, that's either in the right of way or it's not. She doesn't have a,
where's this at? On North Main Street?
yeah, on Schaefer Road. No, East
No,
River.
Bragg's old office.
Where?
Bragg's
Chiropractic
Bragg's
office.
old office,
Oh, okay.
right by that road that's fallen in.
Well, I guess the two things in my mind's eye as I'm thinking about what this thing is gonna look like mechanically is
Right.
how tall is the sign board, right? it's 6 feet tall, but how tall is the sign board, right? Is it 6 feet tall and the sign goes all the way to the dirt? I don't think so.
No, I think she's
Right.
gonna have 2 boards. It'd be open.
Give me a number for that, and then is it parallel to the road or perpendicular?
Okay,
Neither of
so we're
those, neither
asking
of those
for-
elements are defined. It'd just be nice to know.
One-sided or two-sided?
Right.
What material might it be made of?
Yeah, and the post. Is this thing gonna hold up?
Yeah, we don't know enough, though.
And that probably should be included as part of sign rules that say, okay, are we looking at a sign that lasts 1 year? Is it gonna be concreted? Is it gonna have vinyl sleeves? What's the look? And if that's what we wanna do, then we should have a sheet that says, here's our minimum standards. And that would make it easier for you to just rubber stamp them or reject them.
Does it matter?
I could do it without the
That's
permission
right.
having
Right.
this.
That's right, and
So parallel or perpendicular, what was the other question you had?
What is the actual dimensions of the sign board?
Yeah.
Height and width?
excluding the post.
Yeah, the sign board itself.
Does it matter if it's illuminated or not?
As you say, is it gonna be backlit,
We don't have any,
Front lit.
regulations on that.
no lit?
I don't think it's gonna be lit. I think it's gonna be
It's a
2
daytime sign.
planks on there with. I
Is there an
believe-
existing sign that it might replace?
She said that there was,
They did
she
have
could
something
see
in
some
the yard at one
posts were
time.
there, but I'm not so sure it wasn't in the right of way.
Uh-huh.
That's,
I don't think the rules have to be long like that one does, but I think it could be very simple. Say, do you meet the requirements? And if you do, great.
all right, I will try and get you some more information and
Okay.
she's got something temporary, so. All right, the other thing we had come up was a request to add, to approve. Let's see if I got here, it was over here. So Mommy Landing wants to add another lot to their subdivision, officially add it to the subdivision that hadn't been platted. It's lot 20, it's right, this is DeVore's right here on the corner, and then be the first lot, north here is the lot that they, and then, so we had this as an action item to review these subdivision rules, which are, I'm pretty sure I did send you these a while ago.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I think this one is a softball, I think it looks great. It's a well thought out and professional subdivision, and that we would just need to give our stamp of, or you should give your stamp of approval to it.
Dave, just so I understand the background on this, so these properties sit unplatted as lots until they get closer to being viable lots, just so that it's easier to manage taxes, or is that kind of how or why that's happens in that way?
Well, I would say that there must be some type of economic advantage to leaving those unplatted until they're ready to sell. But I don't, as far as the technical aspects of that, maybe.
Didn't that happen once earlier this year too? We had to do one of those and vote on it at the council meeting, approve your recommendation.
On
think that-
subdivision?
I think it happened like in
Oli
February.
was here.
Yeah, Oli came in and I remember something
On
about
a
it.
subdivision.
It seemed like it
Um,
happens like every once or twice a year.
Yep.
well, maybe on divorce. So I think that, I honestly, when I read this, I felt like council can approve it without us,
Right.
but that the way it's written, and Jan can attest to this.
That's my signature.
she can attest to this, that
95.
I know,
Yes.
I know. It hasn't been updated since '95 either. That that the planning commission has some role in overseeing new subdivisions, and that they would like to get us involved more. I think that there's been a lot of positive feedback as far as what's been coming out of this commission this year, and so as far as this is the actual ordinance that they're asking that council would pass, and it's okay. Whereas the Village of Antwerp approved the preliminary plat of the Maumee Landing subdivision submitted by Olin McMichael, the developer for the Maumee Landing subdivision. Said property plat was discussed, approved, and accepted by the council at its regular meeting on May 8th, 2006. However, the minutes from that meeting failed to reflect the council's action on the preliminary plat. At the special meeting of the council on July 30th, 2008, the council renewed this motion to accept the preliminary plat for Maumee Landing subdivision, which motion was passed by unanimous vote on the council members present. Olin McMichael has submitted the final plat on the Maumee Landing subdivision, phase 11, lot 20, to the Village of Antwerp Planning Commission, and commonly known as the Commission, or that's how they're abbreviating it, as well as to the Village of Antwerp Council, as required by ordinance number 94-17, the Village Subdivision Ordinance. The Commission recommended, so they're asking us to recommend that the final plat for Phase 11 of the Maumee Landing subdivision and infrastructure improvements provided therein be accepted. So whereas, so they've just written up the changes they want.
Right.
Change to this subdivision. They want to formally plat out lot 20, and so they're just asking you guys to move on that. And
That's what we vote on every time, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Only came each time, and it was something about taxes on the
Yeah,
property.
something about taxes, and he wanted that to begin with.
Yeah.
Ole did,
Okay.
and so that's not a problem with Ole.
Yeah, Ole's the one that's asking for this. It's
Right.
just, and so I think Mel's been really doing her best to try and dot all her I's and cross all her T's, and I think she
Yeah.
feels like that the proper way to handle this is for you guys to approve his proposal, or at least give it your approval
We
to
can
send
do
it
that.
on to.
Mm-hmm.
So we just would need somebody to move to accept Ole's proposed new
And we're
subdivision
just,
plot.
right now, we're just talking about lot 20.
Yes.
Make me a copy of that right there. Make me a copy of
Okay.
that. Right there.
So moved by Michelle. Is there a second
For what? What are we voting on? That?
to
To
accept the
accept
the
proposal to
request.
add lot
I'll
20?
second.
Okay, all those in favor
I don't know.
of accepting the subdivision plan, the revised subdivision plan, adding lot 20, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I don't know if this has got big enough for the whole thing. You just have to,
Well, we forget.
you just want that one.
You're taking notes
I'm trying to.
to remind you.
All right. So that can go off of my desk and back to, I suppose I'll put that in Brian's pocket with me. Here's the minutes
What
from
was
this
the
meeting.
ordinance number that you read
Good,
off on there? You changed the
not-
ordinance, right?
it's not, there is no ordinance on,
That's the new
the
one
new
we
one.
accepted, but isn't
Yes.
the one that you're revising?
we're not revising the ordinance, we're revising the the subdivision, final plat,
For
phase
lot
11. Here's
There
what,
isn't,
here's the wording.
yeah,
Final plat of lot 20.
yeah, here, you're changing ordinance 9417, right?
Okay,
Let me see.
well, that was actually the one I will keep. That's,
I mean, this will get a
no,
number.
we're not changing this ordinance. This is the subdivision ordinance. What's the,
This one will get a number at the meeting when it's adopted.
so it's required by ordinance 9417, which Amy provided. But I don't see it, the ordinance reference that council approved on July 30th, 2008.
But this is nothing new, Jan, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. It's just, he wants to do it all now, right? Any lots that are left
Well,
back
is that
there?
what he-
No, he's just
No.
doing that one.
Just one.
He's just still doing the one.
Yeah,
I don't know why that did.
yeah, we can handle that.
Why
We
that
can-
didn't.
I think we
We
can.
can handle that.
Yeah,
I think he's almost full back there. Isn't
Pretty
Do
close.
you want a copy of it?
he? Sure.
Looks like he's got 2 more lots left
Ladies first.
to the
Thank
north,
you.
to the north of lot 20, and probably just a couple more left on the main roadway coming in where he's got the duplexes.
There's, like 2
Okay.
lots on the east. on the
All right, we only got, so anything else on, I think we're good on as far as what business I had. The subdivision rules will have to be, well, that's down the road, and also home occupation. So I think this one would go with it also. That shows the lot 20.
it's lot 20.
Okay. So we have a guest today, Tim. You wanna
Jump in.
address the commission? You had something to share?
I don't know that I did, but Brian said that I should get with you because you had a question about truck traffic or something.
Right, well, long term, so I'd seen some of this, some drawings
Okay.
from the,
Doesn't spread.
the subdivision being proposed, and I'm not, is this Water Plant Drive here?
No,
That's
this
the
is-
road by the
This
doctor's
water-
office.
Yeah, this is,
What's this one here?
this is Dollar General right here.
That's the
Okay.
easement
This
you
is
were
the church.
referring to.
Okay,
So we're trying, we have an option on this right now, the Antwerp CIC, I'm saying, has an option on this piece right here, that little rectangle.
uh-huh,
And the option is gonna run out in June.
yeah,
So we're trying to just purchase it outright. Nothing would change on it because we're not at any point to do
Uh-huh.
anything further. It would just be, that would change from an option to a purchase to the CIC.
yeah,
And where did Dollar, show me,
Dollar General's right there.
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
that goes into the church.
Okay.
So,
what we've been trying to wrangle around a little bit is, trying to create a longer range plan to look at how to connect the village through roadways, particularly truck traffic to the industrial parks and
Okay.
things, and just some larger scale things. So,
Yep.
this had already been getting kicked around a little bit, so it's appropriate that this is kind of coming around for round 2.
Okay?
And this was one of the things that I was hoping to see, right, was
Yep.
the availability of creating a connector between those 2 roads.
Okay.
so then,
And this.
so then,
secondary.
where we're looking at, this is maybe a little, this looks like a big cul-de-sac here, or it's not a there's a couple cul-de-sacs, but this would kind of, so they're talking about putting some kind of development in here
Well,
too, right?
This is
This
Harmon
would-
over here.
this would all be available to be developed, yes. I mean, right now, and I'm gonna be 100% honest. The gentleman that is looking at this with us has already said that beyond this line right here, this is probably gonna be 100% different when he's done. Because this wasn't his plan.
Okay,
This was just something we had developed by an engineer that gave us an idea to throw out to the people of the community
Right.
to look at what it could be.
okay. So earlier in the meeting, I shared some ideas that
Okay?
we'd had and I'd had. Some of these are old and it's just a scratch
Yeah, that's
sheet.
fine.
But what we're looking at is out here for the industrial park. What's the best way to get there? Right now, it's try and come up through the center of town,
Yep.
you know, and then cut back
Yep.
and go down Harmon and turn left. And it's really not.
Good.
It's no plan. It's
Yeah.
the lack of planning.
Yep.
And so this is just something you could do this 100 different ways, but I tried to. There's a pond out here in the middle of this field,
Yep.
and there over here are some
Is that out-
are the
is that out there
sewage
where
treatment
Joe
plant.
Barker used to live.
Joe Barker, I know
It's
lives
over
over
here.
here.
Oh, that's over there, okay.
Yeah. So I knew here is this option that we have that you're talking about that's going to expire, and you said the
No, it's
CSI
right here.
It's actually
It's up
along
here.
adjacent to that
Oh,
property.
okay.
Yeah, right there.
So it's way up here.
Yep.
Then. So, I mean, that actually might be better considering what these
Well,
guys
we,
said, but-
when we talked to ODOT, we had to be past this line right here because that's 600 feet from the center of 24 to the edge. And there's a pink flag out there right now.
Oh, okay.
So we were safe to be able to put the road here.
So this is totally would have been like no good here, but
No.
but what we were looking at is some way to get from clear over here to clear over here,
Okay?
right?
Yep.
Without
Yeah.
going down.
Yep.
Right,
So-
or River Street.
So your dad gave me this to talk to ODOT about.
Uh-huh.
And they said this right here and a throughway from Canal here
Uh-huh.
could absolutely happen on your dime.
Okay.
ODOT said there is 0 fatalities, there's 0 wrecks, critical wrecks. There are a couple wrecks occasionally at Canal Road there where
Uh-huh.
Johnny Woodcock
Right,
is.
four-way.
But nothing that shows up on any blip on their maps that they would help fund anything like this kind of thing.
Okay.
If Antwerp wants to pay for it, they said they'll help you design it and let you pay for it.
Okay. So I guess
Darn.
Would you help us
Design.
start a fundraising effort? We're gonna go on a fundraising campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I was again there yesterday because of the US 30 cutting off all the intersections at
Ah,
grade,
right.
Yeah.
and asked again about this, and they even said on that of the 18 intersections, the only ones that are even going to be looked at in the next 10 years are the 49 intersection where they have true accidents, and the Johns Road one right there where Alliance just went in. Of all 18 of those, they might get to those 2 in the next 10 years, but there's nothing else that shows any kind of a blip in accidents or fatalities that makes them even want to attempt that.
Mhm.
And they said this is even farther behind the other 16 of those.
Okay, well, that's the kind of feedback we need. And so, like we discussed, this is just
Yeah,
throwing
and I
ideas
thought
around
it was a
and-
good idea to take to them and see what they said.
Yeah,
I
appreciate you
had
doing
no
that.
idea. I mean, it was a good idea to take to them, and once they said, yeah, on your own dime, I thought, boy, I don't know where we're gonna get the funding.
They're not gonna get far.
No, we need like, but, so, we just,
So what I want to make sure of, Gabe, is I want to make sure that if we're purchasing this and we already have this purchased and now a grant to build this road,
right,
is there something you need from the CIC
We just-
beyond that?
I think we just want to make sure that there's a way that we can get past this, that we can get around it, that we can get over to here eventually.
Oh, I see.
It's not saying,
Well,
we're not saying we want it right here.
No, I
It
get
could,
it.
it could,
I
it
think
could
what-
go, follow that 600-foot line and,
Tim, I
You
think
know-
the key to that conversation, as that progresses and you're working with developers, is to just, instill into those developers that we have to create a connector road.
Yep.
From 49 to Harmon.
Yeah, and I think at this point in time, if everybody's okay with us purchasing this, just this piece, which nothing's gonna change.
Right,
And already developing this much of this piece,
right.
and then seeing what the next phase of this developer's
Right.
idea is before he ever starts buying or developing.
Right.
Making sure that this commission is okay with that, then we are all on the same page. I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Okay.
it.
that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay,
Just,
well, that's good to know.
right, and communication
Yep, that's
is
all better.
gonna help us come up with solutions that are gonna benefit as
Absolutely.
many people as,
Yep.
as possible, so.
Yeah, but so just for your future reference, Gabe, you gotta be 600 feet down, and there's where the fence ends,
Mhm.
there's actually about one more foot where the pink flag is. And that's where, you can't be any closer than that to access 49 all the way up that hill.
Okay. So that, I'm gonna make a note of that, because it's,
Because if we just turn around like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work.
No. And that's actually why this piece of property became they're not trying to get the option on the church property or anything in front or beside it because of that reason.
Right.
okay.
We're still trying to get an option on this piece.
That's the Marlin.
No, this is the other half of the church property.
The back, and behind them.
Tim, is all of that property that is on the conversation that you folks are having, is all of that property currently in the village, or is some
It
of
is
it in
not.
and some
It
out?
is
That's what I
not.
thought.
But Gabe
It goes
and I-
back to that conversation, had a preliminary conversation about, our boundaries of the village limits are all
Yeah, they
wonky,
are.
right? Especially when we talk about something
Yep.
like here. So,
But we have had discussion with the township trustees, and I think you were involved with a little bit of that, Gabe, about if it's an adjoining property, you can put in the infrastructure and charge it for it, and the trustees were aware of this, and they're not gonna halt the
right.
future thinking of the community, so they're on board with all that taking place,
Yeah.
with or without it being in the village.
Right.
Okay.
And there is now a new economic tool that can be used so that you don't have to annex land. It's called a JED, a Joint Economic Development District, where instead of it just being you're doing the village thing, you could partner together to do things monetarily that is beneficial to both parties, and you don't have to annex the property in. You can come up with an agreement. There's a legal way to come up with an agreement between a township and a village to have those infrastructure things and all that take place. They make a little money, you make a little money,
Right.
and you don't have to annex it.
That's interesting.
I think they've had these kind of arguments all over the state, and they said, let's
Well, I'm
just
sure it
fix
happens
it.
all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
That's why it's like,
Yep.
Well, it's too bad Bill couldn't have been here. You don't have to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can fill him in, and as far as what we've been able to accomplish this year, I think is just
Oh, I appreciate the emails. You keep me in the loop, Gabe, and I come when I think I need to, and I stay out of your way otherwise, but
and
but I appreciate the communication.
well,
And I hope you don't hesitate to reach out to me for anything, whether it be village or zoning or what have you.
So, this road from the church owns, where does it stop at, right here, that break over?
Yeah, there's a bush right out there. If you
Okay.
go drive out there, there's a tree.
Yeah.
And again, they're just gonna keep mowing it, but we're afraid that option would run out and they wouldn't give us another option, so let's just purchase it, have it in our control for the future when we need it, and move forward.
well, part of the dilemma too, from what I understand and talking to Rick, is that the church owns it, but the church is not a local entity,
Correct.
right? It's a corporate entity. And so it just, if it keeps coming on the dashboard constantly, it's just a nuisance,
Yeah.
right, from a business perspective. So,
Rick and I just talked again this morning. I'm trying to get a timeline of when he thought this could be completed, and
Yeah.
he said he's at the mercy of the district.
right.
And so we're just trying. We're trying our
Yeah.
best.
all right. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on, I'm sure, being in charge of the whole county. So
Well, you take this times 11 villages and 12 townships, and that's where I'm at.
all right. Well, I hope we keep you the busiest.
I do too. I do too. This is where my home is, and I love it.
Yes. Well, we all do, or we wouldn't.
Wouldn't put the time in.
Right.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. And
Yep.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
definitely
In
very
the world
informative.
of
so.
what we do with respect to CIC and economic development, is there anything that we should be given more appropriate attention to better support your needs?
Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see a meeting with AC/DC, the Rotary, zoning, the council, and CIC, and have some of the exact discussions that you just talked through on that map to see what the futuristic goal looks like for everybody for a minute. But at the same time, I feel like the Rotary is sitting on a little bit of money. AC/DC, same. Chamber, same. CIC, the same. And we're all scratching our head thinking, what can we do with this little bit of money that could make a big difference? But if we all put a little bit of that money into a pot, that we now have quite a little bit of money to think about something bigger scale, all of a sudden, I think we open up some opportunities that we're missing out on. We've just now, on the CIC, we've had a lot of retirement, resignation. I think people are starting to, we're getting a different board. We're getting a younger board that's active and aggressive and has some time to put into these things. And, you know, we purchased the park station and hopefully we'll be able to turn a profit on that. We just made $1,500 on a lot right over here on Mervyn Street. If we can get more of that action taking place, that we know, I'm not asking them to spend their money and throw it away. We want to have an end goal of a positive net gain at the end of the day. And all of a sudden, we've got a little bit more money to work with and do more things. And it makes life a little bit easier when you have a building come up that we all say, man, I wish so-and-so wouldn't get that building because we know they're going to let it run down. And all of a sudden, the CIC says, hey, we'll buy that. We know Jim has a buyer for it. And we'll make just a little bit of money, but we'll get it in their hands, and we all gain.
So, what you're proposing a type of like a community summit?
Yep.
And when would be a good time to do this?
You're probably not going to be able to squeeze it in before the holidays.
Oh, I was thinking February.
Yeah, and so just last night, Maumee Valley Planning, who is, you know, we're a part of that too here in Antwerp. They just did their first strategic planning meeting over at Oakwood. And the first piece of this, and there are several pieces that'll follow, a survey and some other things. But at the end of the day, there's a dangling carrot of $750,000 for them. They had the kickoff meeting tonight at Laddie. I would hate to see Antwerp fall behind. If there's money out there, why not have a piece of it?
So, Maumee Valley has grant funds.
Yeah, they know of all the grants in Ohio.
They show you the path.
Exactly. Yeah. And they get a piece of that pie at the end of the day for showing you that path and managing it for you,
helping you apply.
Yep.
So it would be in conjunction with Maumee Valley.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe we ought to meet with Brian and we can. He talks to Maumee Valley all the time.
Every
you know
day.
who the contact is there at Maumee Valley?
His contact is Dennis Miller.
Okay.
I would suggest we start with Adam Panis or Esty Miller. And Esty lives in Oakwood, so she's a local girl that knows her crap.
ESTY?
ESTEE.
S.T. Miller.
Yep. And she's not related to Dennis Miller, who is the head of it all. He's from Pioneer. But Brian and I both talk to him from different angles every day.
All right. Well, that would definitely be, I think, worthwhile to try and make something happen. Figure out at least.
They did a SWOT analysis last night at Oakwood. 29 people there, and the ideas and thoughts that came out of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for public services, water utilities, sewer utilities, surface water was tremendous. It was really.
And how long did it take?
Hour and 10 minutes.
Hour and 10 minutes. That's right. Okay. Well, I've taken Hour and 10
It's pretty good for
some of the
big
ones we had.
brainstorming session.
I said I'd take an hour and 10 meeting after some of the ones we had.
Yes, that wouldn't be bad at all.
Keep it
Okay, well then,
So he said council, ACD, chamber, zoning board,
Rotary,
Rotary.
And the
did you
CIC.
say Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, it would be full public, but you would wanna have representatives, I think, from each of those
Yeah.
at least entities. And maybe the Boy Scouts and 4-H and whoever else, but I think that,
School.
the more you have input from, the better opinion and narrowing down of focus you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that a lot, and I think that we could get the ball rolling on something like that. So,
All right.
Okay,
Well, I think
I'll get a loop.
I gotta get to an
All
Oakwood
right,
CIC.
Mark moves to adjourn the meeting.
Do we need to set our next meeting? Do we have a date?
Oh,
Pleasure seeing you,
Tim,
Bryce,
Drug us in the ditch again.
you guys.
Sorry.
get back to you on that text.
Yep, thanks.
Yep, thanks, Ken.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, so the next council meeting's 21st, week of Thanksgiving, so that would put us the 17th is a Thursday. I got an appointment that day. I've had it on here for a long time. Maybe Tuesday the 15th. Who didn't do Tuesdays?
If we can get in and out of here, I can do Tuesdays, but I've just got meetings on Tuesdays.
Okay, so if we did 4:30 on Tuesday,
That'd be fine, yeah.
4:30 on Tuesday the 15th, work for everybody?
You're gonna send an email?
I'll do it right now, yep.
Okay.
4:30 to 5:30.
Tim doesn't.
I got Steve, April, she didn't want it. Well, she needs to put it on the website though.
Right.
Yeah.
Bill, Brian, Bryce, Don, Jan, Ken, Mark, my wife, Michelle, and Ted. Okay,
Okay.
4:30 on the 15th. There you got it.
Could you add me to that list, please?
Already got you.
You got, because I'm not getting the.
You didn't get them? I sent it to, here, I'll tell you. Let me look here. Jordan Steve 1959 at iCloud.com.
Yeah, I should have got it.
Look in your junk mail. It's coming from the village, or from zoning at Village of Antwerp.
So if it comes from you, it's automatically junk. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
probably, yeah, I mean,
Check your trash, it might have went.
Yeah, it might have. Yep.
but,
But thank you for it.
you're welcome. Okay,
Okay.
Mark moved to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Ken,
All in
second.
favor,
All in
stand
favor?
up.
All right.